right, I believe we are live, and we are going to start with our pre-game show. Aloha kakahiaka. This is the pre-game show of the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. If you're watching this pre-recorded, in other words, if you're not here on December 11th, 2020, you're watching the pre-recorded version, you can move forward about 4 or 5 minutes where we actually start the real show, but where you're welcome to join us here for our pre-game show where we talk about stuff just to kind of warm the mics up and warm up the audience. I'm your host, Peter Kay, with livinginhawaii.com. With me, I got my good friends, Scott Startsman, Dylan Nonaka, and Heidi Dollinger, who are great realtors from across the state of Hawaii, and we are here to talk about Hawaii real estate. But before we go, and of course, we got Jim, good old man Jim. I'll tell you, what a good, reliable Jim. Aloha, Jim. Great guy. Great to see you, Jim. So we're going to kind of go around there. We get Scott. Scott, dude, you're first in line here. What's going on there? Merry Christmas. First of all, Merry Christmas, Scott. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. I got the trifecta going on today. I got the hat. I got the Rin Spooner Christmas Aloha shirt. We got a little theme going on. We got the wreath. We got Surfing Santa on here. We got Nene Goose. I don't know what the Nene Goose has to do with Christmas, but they do a different theme shirt every year, and this was one of probably 5 or 6 of them that I have. So it doesn't get any more Hawaiian than this. And I'm out here in Makaha today, oceanfront, beachside, and there's a little bit of surf coming in. So I'm getting the chicken skin. I'm going to go up after the show and probably body surf up the way right at Makaha Beach Cabanas.
So chicken skin, everybody. Chicken skin is the local term for goosebumps. So you call them goosebumps on the mainland. We call it chicken skin in Hawaii. And Scott's there. And a welcome to Teresa. Can't wait to move there from Canada. Yep. I would think you'd really want to be moving there about now, being December. God only knows how cold it's got to be in Canada. Dylan, give us the update. What you got over there, buddy? What you wearing? What you doing? Where are you? What's it like?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, we were just talking off camera that I wish I could figure out the lighting because I got a great ocean view just that way, but it ends up blowing everything out and I look pretty dark. So here in the backyard, this is my outdoor kitchen area and home gym and now show studio. So multi-purpose, but got a Sig Zane on with a bamboo print today. I don't know. I just missed the Christmas theme, I guess, today. So I'll try and do better next time.
Yeah, Scott has completely upstaged us all with the Christmas theme because, of course, our next scheduled show would be December 25th, which we'll be taking a break. We'll talk about that later. But Scott has definitely upstaged us on the Christmas. And I'm usually a pretty big Christmas guy myself. And here's Bernard. Hey, Bernard, welcome back. Good to see you, buddy. Hello from New Jersey. Heidi, give us the scoop. What you got there, and what's the coffee of the day today as well?
Well, first of all, it's a beautiful day here on Maui, and I was outside earlier, but now I'm just in my office, enjoying my cup of coffee. I walked down to the coffee store. What I'm drinking today, it's a Maui Estate Typica. It's a kind of medium dark roast, but it's not bitter at all. Really, really smooth, and I barely put anything in it. The coffee is so good. So great way to keep awake and start the day.
Yeah, I have my ceremonial Starbucks mug here, which I think I've had this thing for like 15 years. At least it feels that way. And that's my morning ritual, right? Is to get my burr grinder, grind it, and then my French press. I've got and my final step of coffee snobbery was to get a digital scale. So I measure exactly 42 grams. And I may go to 42.09 grams, but never past 40, never a full decimal past 42 grams, 42 grams exactly. And that's, the exact amount of water with precise measurements. It comes out exactly the same every single morning because that's my OCD kicking in. Hey, Jeremy, welcome, Jeremy. Jeremy's, yeah, I remember you mentioning this a while ago, needing to get his appraisal license there, move over. Well, you better hurry up, dude, because we're going to talk about this when the show actually starts in about a minute or so. It's 9:59 right now. I know we got a lot to talk about in the real estate market. So really, I just, in our last few seconds over here, I just want to say how happy I am that everyone's here. We got 18 people we're pushing 20 before the show even starts, which is absolutely fabulous. I got my good friends over here. I got Scott and Dylan and Heidi, some great people where we have some great conversations. I'll tell you, I know the YouTube channel is jamming. You know, a couple of videos that a bunch of videos that we've done. We publish these individually on the channel, and the latest one I publish about is why people leave Hawaii, and that was a discussion that we all had, and it's currently trending as like the top video that we did over the last 28 days. So I'm real kind of happy about that. And there's Teresa, love Maui, looking for an oceanfront condo around Lahaina, Kanapali. Please give the prices and show us around. There you go, Teresa. Meet Heidi. Heidi, if you haven't been, Teresa, if this is your first time here, because you got to go, you got to talk to Heidi. Heidi's our Maui girl. Heidi, where in Maui are you right now anyway? Right now in Maui.
So I live in West Maui, just a little bit north of Kanapali. So right there. Would love to help you out with that.
Absolutely. There's Teresa, there's a link in the description. Click on the link in the description, get your stuff into the form, and I'll connect you with Heidi right away to get you. All right, gang, look, it is time to rock and roll. Want to welcome you all to our Aloha Friday Hawaii show today. Let me pull up the right graphic over here so I know where I'm doing. There we go. Want to welcome you all on this December 11th, 10 a.m. Hawaii time. My name is Peter K. Glad that all have you here. We're going to get started right away. And yeah, Teresa, you want to get a hold of Heidi. That's for darn sure. We're going to get started right away, folks, with my good friends over here that are with me today. And let's, we always start the show with a quick COVID update. So I want to give you an update on kind of what's going on, kind of a news update for what's kind of happening here in Hawaii regarding the COVID thing. First bit of news is Kauai. Kauai has decided to essentially opt out of the quarantine exception program. So in other words, what Kauai is saying is everyone, according to what I've got, my news source says all incoming trans-Pacific meaning if you're coming from the U.S. mainland, essentially, and inter-county travelers to Kauai will face a mandatory 14-day quarantine. So if you're going to be going to Kauai, and again, the big term here is you want to be doing a lot of planning. You want to plan like crazy because you really kind of don't know things may change right after we make this broadcast. But according to the news, according to my sources, Kauai is, you're going to have a 14-day quarantine regardless of whether you've tested negatively or not when you come to Hawaii. So keep that one in mind. On the Big Island, and Dylan, we'll get some feedback from you on this one. Big Island says that the they'll have random tests upon arrival to, let me see, Trans-Pacific travelers participating in the Safe Travels program. The Safe Travels program is the one we mentioned a few episodes back that you have to use and register before you come to Hawaii so you could avoid quarantine. Will be randomly selected to take a county-administered COVID-19 test upon arrival to Hawaii Island. The test will be administered to approximately 25% of the passengers at all 3 airports, and the cost of the test will be borne by Hawaii County. So that just means you're just going to get a random test. And if you tested negatively, you should be in good shape. Other thing, inter-island tests, there is what's also going on with inter-island testing, if you're going to be going, let's say, from Oahu to Maui, apparently what's coming up is you're going to need to undergo that same pre-negative test. Just like you took a pre-negative test to come from the mainland to Hawaii, you're going to take you're going to get a pre-test and be negative when you travel, for example, from Oahu to Maui. So that's also coming up. Really want to, again, the moral of the story the moral of the story here is you want to do your planning. You want to make sure you verified in gory detail about what you're doing and what kind of things you have to prepare for. If you do that, you're gonna it's gonna be fine. A couple of other things to kind of clue everybody in on. There's some interesting things I'm seeing over here. This article headline here: incoming mayors want looser safe travels restrictions. It looks like the mayors, because of course the economy is heavily dependent on tourism, the mayors are beginning to push for some looser travel restrictions. They want changes and allow passengers to be released. For example, they want passengers to be released from quarantine. Say you failed to get a test. If you failed to get a test today, when you come to Hawaii, you are going to have a mandatory 14-day quarantine. What the mayors are saying is, look, fair enough, but if after you come to Hawaii and you then take a test and you test negative, you should be released from quarantine. That has not been done yet. That has not been allowed or announced yet, but that's kind of what's rumbling on, just to give you a kind of a thing about sort of what's happening. And then finally, apparently Governor Ige is preparing to reduce the quarantine restrictions for travelers. Thankfully, apparently he's following the science, as the big term has been said now. And then the science here says that you don't need 14 days of quarantine. You need apparently 10 days of quarantine. So that's what's running around. It's not 100% there yet. These are just kind of future thoughts, but I just want to give you all a quick update on kind of what's going on. And I think I did that all in one breath. So, hey, let's kind of go around the table there. Scott, give us a quick update. Is there anything you want to add to this that you've been hearing regarding COVID specifically? We'll talk about the market later. Anything about COVID you want to add to this?
No, you hit it pretty well. I mean, the main thing is being prepared. And as long as it's finding the testing center on the mainland that will allow you to get the test that's approved by the state. That's the hardest thing for people to find. And as long as you're prepared, you can go through the lines pretty easy. The only time I hear people getting gummed up or having difficulties is when they don't have all their stuff together.
Thank you, Scott. And we love hearing the surf while you're talking over there. Dylan, what's going on? Is there anything you want to add to the COVID report I gave on Big Island, or anything that comes out that people ought to know about?
No, just that it's working here on the Big Island. I've had numerous friends and clients come in that have gone through the secondary test at the airport, and it does slow you down by 30 minutes to an hour. You got to sit in another line, but everybody reports that they get through it, and it works pretty efficiently, and they go on and they don't have to quarantine. So it's been working well here on the Big Island.
That's good to hear. Heidi, but before we get to you, Heidi, I got to say, so everybody, Heidi wasn't here Heidi was not here at our last show. She was vacationing on the mainland at a secret location. But Heidi, apparently this is the Maui show today, because we have another comment here from Rich. Rich says, spent almost a year in Maui many years ago, loved it. Wife and I are looking forward to getting property on the Big Island in a year or so. But I'm still going to characterize this as the Maui show. Heidi, what do you have to add to the COVID reporting that you've kind of heard on Maui? Anything you want to add to this and to tell everybody about?
Sure. Well, I recently traveled off island, and what I did is I ordered a COVID test through Vault Health, which is one of the approved vendors, and they mailed it to me. And then you do it at home. You just have to log on Zoom, and they watch you take the test, and then you mail it in and get it back. And it worked really great for me, because then I wasn't quite sure where I needed to go to get tested or where I would be. The only thing is just timing it perfectly is really tricky, because the lab has to get it, and then it's 24 to 72 hours, and then you need to get your results back. So I actually had to delay my flight one day coming back to Maui, because it is really important to have that negative test before you get on the plane, at least right now. I guess the only other thing to add is on Maui, they are shutting down bars just for 2 weeks, December 12th to December 26th, because I guess they've been tracing the new COVID cases are mostly coming from people sitting next to each other at the bar. So it's just a 2-week timeout on bars.
Sad thing for bars. Thank you, Heidi, for that update. That's a bummer for the bar industry. I've got some good friends who own bars, and they are getting hurt badly. Heidi, to your point, I had a friend of mine, a close friend, that went to Illinois, and she apparently had a hard time getting back because she was not able to get tests. She was not able to get tests in Illinois at all because she's not a resident of Illinois. Apparently, the COVID tests that she was kind of going for were only for residents of Illinois. So her returning, she actually had to drive down to Missouri apparently to go get a COVID test. Now, after if you went to Illinois, you somehow got around that. But anyway, the moral of the story is plan. You want to be planning. Big time planning is kind of where you want to be at. All right. Let's move on. Let's see. We got a couple of comments over here, so I want to kind of recognize those comments. No, we got everybody. Yep, we had everybody. So, folks, listen. We're going to move on to our next segment, but before we do, we're going to take your questions. You get the priority because you're here. You're with us live. And also, I have a special announcement, a big announcement I'm going to make at the end of the show. But let's, without further ado, I don't want to kind of hold you too much of a cliffhanger there. We're going to talk about our real estate market update. Now, I got to tell you, there's all kinds of stuff that I've been seeing over here. So I know that our team is going to be sharing a lot with you. I just popped up these headlines over here myself. And boy, I remember in the early days of COVID, everybody was thinking that the market was going to crash. But if you look at those headlines, I'm not going to read them. I'll let you scan them because you can scan them faster than I can read them. It is not going that way at all. It's anything but crashing. So let's kind of go through our order over here. Scott, what is the market update on Oahu?
This is where we get really serious, right? And I don't look very serious right now. But,
that's okay. You look well. Look, elves are. I take Santa and Christmas very seriously. So you're good.
Yeah, no, it's actually interesting. So some of the articles you had spot on, bid ups. What we're looking at is 4 in every 10 homes are being bid over the listing price. And it's kind of an interesting market. The first thing I would mention that the new news that just came out is the conforming loan limit for loans in Hawaii went up 7.4% from 765,000 to now 822,000. So conforming loan limit means that's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac kind of guideline loans. You can do lower down because they're backed by their guidelines and whatnot. But that's a significant jump. Once you get above 822, you're talking a jumbo loan with significantly more money down. It's a portfolio loan, which means there's a private investor on the backside, and where the local banks are doing that, originating that loan and holding it on the books. And the rate's higher. The guidelines for being able to qualify for that are harder. So basically, anybody that can qualify for the conforming loan limit portion, they just got a bump in the amount that they can borrow significantly easier and at lower rates than just a few weeks ago. This is for the 2021 year, but it's taken effect now. You can start doing the loans now. So that's pretty important for people to know. As the interesting thing that I would say within this market for Oahu right now is, if you had a faucet that was turned on halfway, and then when COVID hit for 2 months, home sales dropped by 22%. So you basically turned the faucet down quite a bit in how the water was flowing out of it. But we're now at break even for year to date on the number of sales this year compared to last year. So not only has the faucet been turned back on at a higher level, but it's even higher than where it was pre-COVID. So that kind of gives you an idea. There's a lot of buyers in the market. There's a lot of competition for properties, and prices are up on the single family home side 10%. Condos, we're down 50% for sales, and for multiple months have been double digits down. Island-wide prices are up 1.2%, but in Waikiki, prices are down 15%, whereas something like Eva Beach, prices are actually up 3%. So you got to go by area specific, even when it comes to condos. Condos aren't quite as hot as homes, but they are in certain areas.
Yeah, a lot going on over there. Again, I'm just really kind of blown away by how quick it hasn't even, I can't even call it a recovery because it kind of never went away, but how the market has been so resilient in light of COVID. Dylan, what's the latest, what's been going on the Big Island there as far as real estate market goes?
It's bananas on the Big Island.
Bananas on the Big Island.
It's bananas. It's across the board. So just to put things in context, when we look at real estate data, because of the cyclical nature of our market, right? We have down months and up months. So you want to look at the month from the year previous. So when we compare data, like I'm going to talk about some data here, we're looking at November of 2020 versus November of 2019. So it's apples to apples, and you're comparing a similar timeline or similar time in the year for sales and prices and things like that. So across the board on the Big Island, everything is up. So number of homes that have sold are 26% higher than it was last year. Number of condos is 52% higher than a year ago. And pieces of land is totally off the charts, 62% more pieces of land sold this November than last November. And last November, it was a totally strong market. So in addition to all of that, median price is up, average days on market is down. final list of sold price is 95% or higher in pretty much every segment. So people are getting really close to full price, on average. There's definitely, we are starting to see some of those over asking price and multiple offer situations where properties are selling at a more than they're listed for, but not at the rate that Oahu's seeing. But on the Big Island, we're actually the only island in the state that is year to date, we're 4% higher in terms of properties that have sold versus a year ago. So every other county is pretty much almost at break even or right below, and probably will surpass by the end of the year. But we are already on the Big Island surpassing the number of properties that sold in 2019 year to date. So across the board, I mean, it did slow down for a little while, but it is totally bananas right now. And what that's causing is, and I've done a couple of videos on this, if you're getting into the real estate market right now, you really have to prepare for things not happening on time. And I think we talked about this a little bit last show, but it's even worse now. I mean, I'm getting situations where escrow just can't process the transactions fast enough, so everything is delayed. And that's just one segment. I mean, you also have surveyors and finance people doing loans, and underwriters and appraisers are way backed up. There's a shortage of appraisers. Every segment of the real estate market is totally swamped right now, and so transactions are pretty much not closing on time across the board right now.
That's that is just crazy. Before we move on, I got a couple of questions here from Paul and from Megan and from James. I'm going to hit James's first because it's towards you, Dylan. Aloha and Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas. A very Merry Christmas to you, James. Dylan, do you know any condos in the Kona area that have lockable storage areas large enough to fit a kayak, 13-foot preferably lockable?
Yeah, you'll have several options. There's many condo complexes that actually come with storage lockers in a separate area from your condo, or some of them will have them outside in a hallway. Your other option is to get a ground floor unit where you have a little yard. A lot of our condos have a ground floor unit with a 20 by 20 yard outside, so you get a nice little space where you can sit, but you can also use that for storage. It's your personal area. So and usually pretty secure. And there are a few complexes that do have garages. So that's another option, is you can get a garage, a traditional garage with a garage door on it. Usually they're just one car, but that's a good option for storage also.
Thanks, Dylan. Great answer as usual. Heidi, we got a bunch of other questions. I'm going to hold on. Paul and Megan and Kevin, just hold on tight there for a sec. I want to hear Heidi's update on what's happening in Maui. It's bonkers. Is it bonkers in Maui? Is it as bonkers in Maui as it is on the Big Island and Oahu, Heidi? What's going on?
It's definitely super busy on Maui. I mean, as we anticipated, as soon as people were allowed to travel without a 14-day quarantine, a lot of people are coming out to Maui looking at properties. What we're seeing are buyers who are relocating to Maui, or they're just planning on a more flexible working conditions in the future where they can work from home. So they're deciding now's the time to go to Maui and buy something, and I could at least spend part of the year there. Median sales prices are up for both condominiums and single family homes. Single family homes and luxury is super, super strong right now. So yeah, similar to Oahu and Big Island as far as that.
Yeah, it's been really quite remarkable about kind of what's been going on in the industry. Hey, why don't we take a few? Let's take a few questions that I've been getting over here. I'm just going to take them in order for right now. So Paul asks, do any of you know the HGTV shows Hawaii Life or Hawaii Hunters? What do you think of them? Are they accurate or just nonsense? Well, for speaking for myself, Paul, what I can tell you is I cut the cable a long time ago. So I do not have any cable TV subscriptions whatsoever. So I don't see any HGTV shows. I know the Hawaii Life is another real estate firm, Hawaii Hunters. So I can't tell you what I think about them at all. All I can say is, watch our channel, watch our show, and look at theirs, and you decide for yourself. Let's just go around the table real quick because you guys are more in the industry. Hawaii Life. Let's just go around in order. Scott, Dylan, and Heidi. Any kind of feedback you want to give for James about this? Scott?
Yeah. So do I? I guess this is an honest show.
It's an honest show, dude. You got to back up your on. That's what people are asking for. So give it to them. And I was honest too. I never watched it. So you go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so House Hunters is interesting. When I was working with Kahala Associates, they contacted us quite a bit, and they said, "Hey, do you have any buyers that have bought in the last 6 months?" And basically, we're going to go script through the show, go and view and videotape them through 3 properties, one of which is the one that they bought, and then they show the episode with the one that they bought and now are living in, but they've already bought it prior to the show, so it's totally scripted. It's not realistic. I don't watch it. I know Matt Beal, Hawaii Life. I think they're doing a good job. It puts eyeballs on Hawaii, and gives people an experience in a kind of entertainment fashion. That's kind of the extent of it, in my opinion.
Thanks very much, Scott. Appreciate it. Dylan, any quick feedback on Hawaii Life or Hawaii Hunters?
The first thing, I think, if you talk to most realtors, it's like if you ask a cook if they watch cooking shows, and the answer is usually probably not, right? So, so I don't watch a ton of real estate shows, but what the advice I would give is the same advice I give to my kids: everything you see on TV is fake, right? Regardless if it's a reality show or not. And definitely the real estate shows misrepresent or underrepresent the real estate buying process. I mean, they very much simplify it. A lot of the process is not sexy or entertaining. It's you have to doing due diligence and home inspections and going through appraisals. I mean, none of that is exciting for TV. So the real stuff that you do through a real estate transaction is not represented in the TV shows. But if you just get an idea of what properties look like and stuff, I mean, they're definitely worth watching, but they're not accurate in terms of the process you will actually go through. And definitely you're not going to get to the process in 30 minutes or an hour, right? I mean, it's normally a 90+ day process from when you start.
I just got to tell you, I love the Dylanism. I'm gonna give a characterization. There's a Dylanism there, and the Dylanism is everything you see on TV is fake. I love that. That's so absolutely true, because we're not on TV, we're on YouTube, so we're real. But
everything on the internet is true.
Internet's true, TV is fake. Heidi, Hawaii Life or Hawaii Hunters, you watch those shows? What do you think?
Yeah, I've watched those shows. I've actually had several of my listings featured on these TV shows before, which was
cool.
They contacted me, and it's amazing to see the production team go in there and do the filming and photos and everything. It was really interesting. I would say being on the show is not gonna necessarily help sell the listing, because hopefully the listing's sold by the time the show actually airs. But I don't know, as far as watching those shows, I think they're entertaining. They're kind of a way to just see what some different properties are. But as Dylan said, I mean, of course, there's a lot more to the process. And I mean, I wish my job was as easy as just an episode of Hawaii Life. That would be cool. But I don't know.
Thank you, Heidi, for I'm sorry, what, Heidi? Go ahead.
I said I think it's kind of a fun show. So
it's a fun show, and you have confirmed that it is indeed fake, which is great, because by giving us that great comment. Or I'm gonna say it's fake based on what you said. Hey, a quick shout out to Ray. Ray, back again from Afghanistan. Ray, thank you for serving our country. I'm assuming you're in Afghanistan in somewhat a related capacity to our U.S. military. Dylan, you're a member of the U.S. military as well, right? What branch of the service do you serve, Dylan?
I'm in the U.S. Army Reserve, so it's not the National Guard, it's the Army Reserve. That's the reserve component of the Federal Army. But actually, I'm heading off to drill this afternoon, so I'll be playing Army guy for 2 days this weekend.
All right, man. Awesome. So thank you, Ray, for joining us. We're really happy to have you here with us. And see, Scott, Alex appreciates the honest opinion. And that's that's the fundamental promise of the show, right? If you go to my YouTube channel, it's all straight up. I mean, and just doing the best that we can to kind of tell you what it is, because you got to have the reality. And I'm going to be talking more about that. I have that special announcement coming up at the end of the show. So you want to stay tuned for that. It's going to be kind of fun. And we got a couple of other shout outs over here. So Scott, aloha from the Lone Star State. Love Scott's hat. See, Scott, you don't have to be, you were worried about the hat, man. I'm glad you wore the hat. Put the sound on, Scott, so we could hear the hat animation. And
even the lights are going off.
Love it. Thank you, Scott. That's, Christmas, we got to, this is a weird Christmas, so we got to make it as fun as we can and celebrate the spirit of the true spirit of the season. Let's see. We got a couple of other things over here we want to hit. We talked about, oh yeah. So let's see. We talked to Paul. Okay, Megan. Megan's got a question here. Is it better to domicile in Hawaii if you can? We would split our time fairly evenly between Wisconsin and Hawaii, hoping to purchase a condo in Hawaii this year. Love your show. Thank you, Megan. We're really glad that you're here. Of course, make sure you got to be working with Scott or Dylan or Heidi, depending on which island that you're going to go to. Click on the link in the description and get your name on the list if you're not already on the list. Domicile in Hawaii. By domicile in Hawaii, I'm assuming what you mean, should you be a Hawaii resident? And I'm going to say this. You need to talk to your tax attorney or some tax advice, because there's differences. I know Hawaii's property taxes are typically lower, most likely lower than what you're going to have in Wisconsin, but I'm almost certain that Hawaii's income taxes will be significantly higher. Those are the two quick things that I would say in your decision. And again, it's such a personal kind of an issue. You really need to get some professional advice. Really, really fast, Scott, I don't want to get too wound up in this, but anything you want to add that I haven't already said to Megan?
Yeah, I mean, goes back to what it comes down to taxes. That's what you're trying to do, is strategize from a tax standpoint. And what I try to do is work with someone, their accountant or their tax attorney, and work together, because I have the information on the real estate side. How do we work together to help give you the information so you can make the best decision for yourself?
You know, I have to point this out, everybody, and check that you can see the surf rolling in right behind Scott, and that's not a fake animated background there. That's a real background here. Scott is practically on the ocean at Makaha. Makaha is on the west side of Oahu, and it catches some amazing surf. Starting in this time of the year, the winter surf season. So it's really amazing. So thank you, Scott, for bringing that part of Hawaii to us. Dylan, anything you want to add to what we've said so far about Megan and her question about a domicile in Hawaii?
Nope, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about taxes. You got to run the numbers and see where it makes more sense.
It's all about taxes. Heidi, anything you want to add to that?
You've answered it.
Okay, great. I like to go around the table, because a lot of times I really don't know what to expect from what you guys are going to say, and I love so many times, almost always, I get pleasantly surprised by the additional depth to the conversation that all of you add, and I just love that about the show. Let's see. We got Jim's question on that. Kevin says, Kevin's got, if you have to quarantine, is there a specific hotel or motel that they make you attend? What is the cost? So Kevin, the simple answer is, if you're going to be quarantined, any hotel that's open in Hawaii will accept you and have you in the quarantine. So we don't have a quarantine jail. There's no quarantine prison. They're all quarantine prisons. You're going to have to, but you'll be able to stay in. So pick the hotel. And again, plan. You want to plan, contact the hotel, make sure it's good, etc. But again, I would highly recommend you get that pre-test and pre-test negative, so you don't have to worry about that. Who would want to, why would you want to come to Hawaii and be quarantined for 14 days in a hotel room? That's not fun. When all I got to do is some planning ahead. Alex Pack the man. Yes, so absolutely, buddy. And that is awesome. And Ray, thanks, guys. And Dylan, thanks for your service. So thank back at you. We really appreciate that. Excellent. Okay, I think we got everyone's questions out of the way. We're gonna move on. And again, throw me your questions, and let's get started with the next one that we've got pre-planned over here. And this one is from. I thought this was going to be a really cool discussion point. So this is from Tom in Bristol, United Kingdom, and he says, which option would you recommend? Number one, moving over as soon as possible, renting a property, and then eventually going on to buy something as soon as we can afford to. Or number two, delay the move by years, saving and buying somewhere where we are currently, with the goal of being able to put down a deposit straight away when we make it over. Essentially taking the time to set ourselves up first, or moving over immediately because we can't wait, and then working things from there. So thanks, Tom. I really appreciate that answer. I took this question, Tom, because I think there's a financial component to what you're asking, which is essentially, when's the right time to kind of buy a house, and can we pay for the house and afford for the house? And I'm sure that Scott and Dylan and Heidi will speak to that. The part that I want to speak to, and actually the part that I'd like us all to speak to, is I think the broader question. I think this is the bigger question, which is, how do you want to live your life? Do you want to live your life? Do you want to spend, let's just say, the majority of your years where you're living now, and then essentially, let's just say, retire in Hawaii? Or do you want to live in Hawaii now? And maybe even retire back to the mainland, but do you want to live in Hawaii now? So I think that's the real question. And I think for me personally, now I've lived in Hawaii since the mid 80s. And what I can speak to you is this, is that I have lived here since my early 20s. I mean, I came here my first trip was in Maui. I was 20 years old. So I've lived here since then. And I can tell you that nothing can ever replace me being able to surf and enjoy Hawaii in my youth, in my early 20s, going on hikes, being as you are in your 20s, you're invincible, right? And being able to live that whole life. To me, it's part of living the path. It's not about the destination, right? The destination isn't Hawaii. It's the adventure. It's the road there that is Hawaii. And for that reason, I would say if Hawaii appeals to you as a place to live, as a place that speaks to you, to me, you want to live in Hawaii as early as you can, because you want to live the majority of your life in Hawaii. Because right now, even for whatever reason, God forbid, I have to go back to the mainland, which is not in my plans anytime soon. But if I have to go back to the mainland for whatever reason, you know what? I've lived most of my life here. I lived my 20s here. I can never live my 20s back in Hawaii ever again. And to me, that's priceless. So to me, it's a part of the journey. I believe in enjoying the way there. The journey is life, not the end result is life. I would never want to, if I was to put this in really contrasting terms, I would never want to live in misery. Not that you're living in misery, but just to put it into a contrast. I would never want to live in misery and saving up my pennies and then live in Hawaii finally near my end years and retire. That's not living the journey. To me, I would rather come to Hawaii with pennies and try to make it work. Meanwhile, I'm living here my whole life. And that's, I think, the contrast and why I like the question so much. It gave me the chance to kind of share this perspective and this view. So that's my quick intro. So let's go around, and I want to get your reactions on what you think as far as all those, also the financial aspect of, rent now and buy later, or buy later or buy now, or whatever. Let's go around in reverse. We're going to go around in reverse clockwise over here. So Heidi, I'm going to start with you to get your reaction, your feedback. What do you think? Because you've been in Hawaii for a while. You came from Illinois. You're living in Maui. How do you feel about the whole thing?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a different answer for everybody. I mean, only you can really answer that question. For me, I knew it would take me a long, long time to save up and buy a house in Hawaii, and I just wanted to be here now. So I moved here when I did and just went for it. But I mean, the question, rent now or buy, that's actually a really good question. And so many people ask me this and struggle with this and are trying to make the best decision. And, I think if it's a matter of you're not here on the island and you're just really unsure about where you want to be and you might want to try out different areas, I mean, renting really might be best for you. I mean, some other things to think about are you able to work remotely? Do you do something now for work that you are going to be able to save a lot of money and move over more comfortably in a few years? Are you in a position now that's going to make it easier to buy a house, and then that would just make your life easier when you move over here? I mean, perhaps if you're working now, you could buy something and then retire and then already have a place to go. So, I mean, anyway, I know I'm just asking more questions, but it's really going to be personal to everybody. But it is a very good question, and it's something to explore, because, I mean, the other thing I see people do that move here is they spend years renting and spending a lot of money on rent when they really would have just been better off buying something that they could afford and then, working up from there rather than, renting and renting. So anyway, that's my take.
Thank you, Hattie. This is what I love about the diversity of this group. Absolutely love it. And look, and Joe says you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Enjoy it now while you can. Well said, Joe. I completely agree. Dylan, what's when you get these kinds of questions, what's your feedback? What's your take? Give me the Dylanism.
Okay, I'll start with one. Avoid paralysis of analysis. All right. So my take on, I'll give you my philosophical view, which is similar to yours, Peter, is that you got to do resource management, right? And money is an unlimited resource technically, right? And we can make as much money as we can possibly make if we go out there and we do something smart and we work hard. Time is a limited resource. You never know how much time you have, and that's the crazy thing about life, is it could end anytime, but you don't get another day back. Once you lose a day, you never get it back. If you lose some money, you can always make that money back or make more money in the future. So from a financial standpoint, I think waiting till you're perfectly ready and comfortable is probably not the best idea if you're sacrificing quality of life for financial comfort. And that just doesn't apply to somebody moving from the mainland. I give this advice to friends and family, and especially young people. You know, I bought my first house when I was 24. Probably had no business doing it. Probably couldn't afford it. I mean, just figured it out along the way, and has compounded and set up wealth that allowed for a second home and a third home, and really helped us get to the place we are, where I have peers who have been renting their whole entire life. And, you know, if you calculate how much money they've put towards rent and how much money they could have been putting towards a mortgage and building equity in a home and wealth towards a bigger house or a nicer house or whatever it is in the future, you know, they really missed a lot of time. So that's something to consider. You know, people always try and wait for the right time, and they overanalyze stuff, and it prevents action. And I would just say, don't do that. The timing is never perfect. The timing to start a business is never perfect. Another one is having kids. People want to wait till the perfect time to have kids. There's never no perfect time. You just got to go do it and figure it out. You know, there's never a perfect time to get married. I mean, all of that stuff. So I would just say, don't suffer from paralysis of analysis. Make a decision and have fun.
Love it, man. Great Dylanism. Scott, before you begin, I want you to know that you've got Megan's a fan. My daughter just grabbed my phone and asked if I was watching an elf show. Ha! She loves the hat, Scott. See, Scott, hat is a winner. All right, Scott, what's your take on this issue that we're discussing now? What's your perspective?
Yeah, it's very similar to what you were saying, and I'm a prime example of it. I mean, I came out here 21 years ago, and I still have my return trip ticket. I never left, because you dive into things and you figure it out. No plan is going to go perfectly well. And, you know, the longer you wait in another area, life is going on in that other area. You're focused solely on the things that are going on. Let's say, for me, it was back in North Carolina. There's no way I ever would have made this move out here. And you know, you come out here and you figure it out. Who knows what's going to happen later on in life, or, you know, in a couple of years, the timing may just not be right. If a family member gets sick, you got to move back closer to them to take care of them. Somebody has grandbabies, you need to be moved closer to doing that. So waiting, I'm not a big fan of waiting. I came out here when I was 22 and figured out how to make it work. And it's been one of the best experiences of my life. The other aspect is trying to wait to save up. Most people can't do it. Oahu in itself, on average for the last 35 years, has appreciated by 4.6% per year. So our single family home price right now is $822,000. So if it appreciates at 4.6 per year, you got to save an additional $37,000 more or less each year to be able to try to stay up with what the housing prices are doing. And, you know, if you come here, you'll figure it out. You know, you have to be put into the fire, so to speak, and deal with the chaos and the issues that come at you. And the sooner you get over here, the sooner you'll figure it out. And, you know, you'll either be happy or you go in a different direction. You can always move back. It doesn't have to be a permanent move. You know, you enjoy the experiences while you're here. And I'm still here 21 years later with my ticket that I never left. So.
Yeah, well said, man. And you know, I'm today the special announcement, and I'm not going to get into details. Just want to wet everyone's whistle to have you stay until the end. I am going to announce a program about a formal program to have you move to Hawaii and how to do it in the best possible way. And I'm really excited about it. I've been working on it for years, actually. So Dylan, a quick comment there from Rich. Rich Lancaster says, spot on, Dylan. We're waiting for our last child to graduate high school. Then we'll buy and move to the Big Island. So that's awesome. Make sure you're on Dylan's,
I'll be here.
Right? What's that, Dylan?
I'll be here when you're
That's
ready.
it, man. We're going to be here when it's ready. So you want to get a hold of Dylan when you're ready to go on that. Awesome. Hey, thanks, gang. That was a great feedback, great conversation. Absolutely love it. It's one of the things that makes this show so rewarding for me. All right, let's move on to our next topic over here. And that is, we're going to start this one with you, Dylan. This is from Mark of Amherst, Ohio. And he says, what's the real story about the schools on the Big Island? The school reviews on real estate websites do not portray the schools favorably, and some report much lower success rates for haole students. Haole is the Hawaiian word for foreigner, or actually more in Hawaii terms, white person. For haole students, people I've talked to on island give the schools mixed reviews, some good, some cautious. This is a major concern for our move, both financially, if a private school tuition is a required expense, and more importantly, to make sure our children have a good education. Dylan, besides the fact that this was for a question about the Big Island, I thought that this would be perfect for you because, as you mentioned in previous shows, your wife is a teacher on the Big Island. So give us what would be your response to Mark?
Well, the first thing is anytime you look at internet reviews, a lot of times the people who have a negative review to give or a negative experience are more likely to make a review, right? The thousands of people who have a great experience, not just schools, but anything, are not saying anything. It's much harder to get a positive review than a negative review. So you got to put that into context. I would say, and yes, my wife is a school teacher. I grew up in the public school system. My kids are going to public school right now. Are they perfect? No. Are they perfect anywhere? Absolutely not. I would say it's really a case-by-case basis. I mean, you can be in a decent school, but have a teacher that doesn't jive with your kid and they have a bad experience, or they could get put into a class with a kid that gives them a bad experience. But on par, I would say, I don't personally have any concerns. My kids are 3/4 haole. I mean, they were born here and, they're from here, but I don't think the skin color thing is a big issue. It's more just cultural and fitting in and accepting the culture for what it is. And, a big aspect always, and I always say this about the schools, is it's parental involvement. I mean, if you're involved with your kid's education and you're engaged, the teachers respond to that because so many people are not. And you can definitely have a good experience and get a good education in the Hawaii public school system. I have no doubt about that.
That's excellent feedback. I thank you, Dylan. The perspective is perfect, and I think the cultural fit is a real big deal, as you mentioned. We've talked about this on a lot of shows. Part of what this program that I'm going to be announcing about is that cultural fit. Let's jump over to Heidi. Heidi, how would you, if Mark was talking about Maui, what would be your response?
Well, Maui is a pretty diverse place. I mean, as I think we talked about a little bit on past shows too. I mean, there's not just one race or type of people here. There's a lot of people on Maui that come from different places, different cultures and backgrounds. Now, as far as the schools, I have a lot of friends that have kids in school, and they've had a good experience, but it's something unique to each family and each kid and where they're going to have a good fit. And I think regardless of where you live, I mean, that's always a parent's concern, right? Is making sure that your child's having a good experience, a good education, and being involved is really the best thing you can do.
I think involvement is the key. That is the key, because an involved parent can also take action and make things and move things around and get involved, etc. Scott, how would you respond to Mark if he were asking about this on Oahu?
Yeah, I'd say parental involvement is probably 80% of finding success, and then obviously every school is going to have a different environment for how that child is going to be working within, and some are going to be more favorable based on your conditions and doing that research. One of the things here on Oahu I would probably recommend is taking a look at some of the schools that have English as a second language for a significant number of kids, that where they technically speak another language, and so there's more hand holding within that classroom environment that can slow the process down for the whole group. But ultimately, it's just doing the research to see where the best fit is going to be.
And I'd like to add one more thing, Peter. So the other thing is not just lumping the public school system altogether, because yes, we do have the public school system, but we also have a lot of charter schools in Hawaii. So if you have a child that is interested in certain things or is more adept towards technology, there's Hawaii Technology Academy, which is a mixture of online school, and they meet a couple days a week, so they do have the classroom interaction. We have other schools, like we have Wea on the Big Island that is near the water, and they do a lot of marine science type things, and so it's more geared towards that. We have Hawaiian immersion schools where they're taught to speak Hawaiian, and they go through their education speaking the Hawaiian language. So there's a ton of different options in terms of schooling outside of the traditional public school system, which is in a private school and doesn't cost you any additional money. So that's one thing to look into also, is the charter school system, and maybe locating somewhere near one of those, so the commute time and logistics of it isn't a challenge.
So in many ways, it's the same kind of research that you would do on the mainland. You want to pick out a neighborhood, you want to look at the school district, you want to see how close you are to the school district, what's the commute time, what's the availability. And we do have what's called a district exception process you can go through if you live in one district and you want to send your kid to another, but that's a process and you have to be approved. And I don't know if there's a waiting list or not. Charter schools are great. You know, Dylan, you mentioned Hawaii Tech Academy. Actually, my youngest daughter went to Hawaii Tech Academy for I think the last 2 years of high school, and it was a fantastic experience. It's the kind of school I would want to go to. It's almost an online school, but they went to school in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday it was online. This was before COVID, and it's like, man, if I went to high school, that's the school I'd be wanting to go to, one that I don't have to go to. But anyway, great, great feedback. Excellent. Thank you all. Megan has come back with a great question that I think is well worth discussing here. Do you recommend clients spend extended time on all islands before deciding? The only island we haven't visited is the Big Island and aren't sure if we should make a decision before trying out Big Island. Well, Megan, in a sense, you already have the answer. You said you went to the only island we haven't visited, as you said. So that means you've gone to Kauai, you've gone to Maui, you've gone to Oahu, and you can see how different they are. Big Island is also different. So I would say absolutely you want big. So Dylan, our Big Island rep. What would you tell Megan?
You're absolutely blowing it if you don't check out the Big Island first. So before buying. Of course I'm biased, but it's the only place I would live on all the islands. But yes, definitely spending some time is important. I love it when clients come for a month and they spend maybe 3 or 4 days in different areas, different neighborhoods, different elevations, especially if they're not super familiar. I mean, there's other clients that have been coming here for 10, 15, 20 years, and they very much know where they want to be, and that's easy. But if you really want to feel it out, especially on the Big Island, where it's extremely different on the east side, the west side, the north side, the south side. So just zeroing in on what quadrant of the island you want to be on can take some time in exploring. So I would definitely spend some time doing that, moving around and feeling it out before you make a decision.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had mentioned on a previous show, if you can get an extended stay and, stay for a month and kind of, spend a week or two at each of the islands, make sure you're hooked up with a realtor who knows what they're doing, like the ones that we got over here. We got Maui and Oahu and Big Island represented. We also have a good rep on Kauai, who we've been talking to, who've been considering bringing them on the show. So most definitely, I would say, recommend that. Megan is also jumped out with a follow-on question. Do you need a Hawaii driver's license for a kamaaina discount if you own a home in Hawaii? Hello, green fees. So Megan, I would say the primary thing to qualify for a kamaaina discount is to be able to correctly pronounce kamaaina. If you could correctly pronounce kamaaina, that kind of qualifies you. There are a lot that kind of are sticklers about it, and they're going to ask you for a Hawaii driver's license. So I would say, generally speaking, you should have a Hawaii driver's license. Go ahead, Dylan.
You can get a Hawaii state ID without having a Hawaii driver's license, and that'll get you the discount.
There you go. Get the Hawaii state ID. Thank you, Dylan. Great tip on that. Hey, is there anybody that I'm just going to move along a little bit quicker? Scott or Heidi, is there anything you want to add? If you guys want to add anything, just jump in and start chatting about anything you want to add to what's been said. Otherwise, I'm gonna move on. All right, there being no dissent, I'm just going to put Scott on full screen just because I want to see the background of the ocean kind of flying in over there and the hat. Love the love the hat. Okay, so let's do this, gang. Let's move on to our next segment because we're having a great time over here. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves. Let's move into our diamonds and deals. This is the segment of the show where we talk about some aspirational properties, and we've got some gems for you. Aspirational properties, which are diamonds and deals that are what we think are great value. So let's kind of start this one out over here with 325 Kuakini Loop in Wailuku, Maui. Man, Heidi, what are we looking at here? 5-bedroom cottage and a barn on 2.7 acres. Heidi, what is this?
This is a property I previewed a few weeks ago. I think it's just incredible. It's a huge home with beautiful ocean views, 5-bedroom home. There's a 2-bedroom cottage, and then there's a barn with stalls for 3 horses and some fenced pasture. It's in kind of a remote area. It's a good 20 minutes to town, down some kind of windy roads. But for somebody that's really looking to be out in the country, maybe have a couple horses, this is just an incredible property, and it's 2249.
It is stunning. I'm looking at, all those are great photos. I love I'm looking out those windows, those giant practically floor to ceiling windows, and I'm seeing this amazing ocean view. And then you look at that, where that property is situated is absolutely breathtaking and stunning. I want to cook in the kitchen. I want to cook in that kitchen. Make my Christmas my Christmas prime rib, prime roast in that kitchen. Man, excellent. Thank you, Heidi. All right, let's get the next one over here. This is Crown Thurston, apartment 701 for $410 fee simple. This is on Oahu. Scott, what do we got here?
Yeah, I think this is a really good deal. For one, you're in town, Honolulu, $410,000 fee simple, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 parking that's been fully renovated. And this unit is really unique, or I should say this building in general. There's only 4 units per floor, so you're not going to have a whole lot of people on your floor. It stays pretty private. You have the side end window so that you get multiple views, light, good breezes through the units. This one is the preferred stack, which is the 01. They call it an 01 stack, which has your out the side window. You have your morning sunrises, and you get your cool breezes, and you stay away from the late afternoon sun. But there's no buildings in the foreground that are very high. They're all 1 and 2 level, 3 level low-rise walk-ups. So you have significant sweeping views, not only from the Ko'olau Mountains, Diamond Head, all the way to the right, ocean views, and to the sunsets. So for $410,000, fully renovated, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 parking, high floors with views, this is a really good deal.
That's a really good point. 410 for a 2-bedroom. That kitchen looks like it's you said it's fully renovated. That kitchen looks completely brand new.
Yeah, tile backsplash, and you're right. You're perched up on Punch Bowl, so you're elevated up, and then you just come right down Ward Avenue, right into Kakaako, right into the heart of things. You can get an Uber ride for $5 and be right into the mix of all the hip restaurants, going to concerts at the Blaisdell. It's a good one.
So Scott rattled off a whole bunch of locations there on Oahu, but I just want to summarize that you're in what's called the Kakaako district, and this is the new and up and coming area. It's got new development, new condos, new everything, a new Whole Foods, theaters, everything. And like you said, Scott, quick Uber ride and you're into it. That is a great look. Go ahead.
30 towers are planned in Kakaako. I think they're on like number 8 or something. So
jeez, really holy moly, yeah. So that is the happening hipster spot. All right, let's see what Dylan's got wound up for us. 3 acres in Ranchos listed at $350. Dylan, what's this?
Yeah, so we always get asked about affordability, and we love to feature these multi-million-dollar properties. But when people ask, hey, can I get a house in Hawaii for $300,000, $400,000? You definitely can. And so this is I wanted to feature this one. It's a beautiful house. It's finished in 2017. Feels new. Was hardly lived in. You can see the interior, how polished it is. And it sits on 3 acres. So Ranchos is in Oceanview on the southern side of the island. So you're about an hour away from the airport, 45 minutes or so from the big box stores and stuff. But if you're okay with rural living, wide open spaces, sweeping ocean view, you can kind of tell from this picture, but that entire stretch is ocean views, and you're looking kind of to the south there of the island. So just beautiful opportunity. It looks arid, but everything grows out there. So if once you stick some stuff in the ground with some potting soil, you can grow pretty much anything you want in that volcanic soil and really make it your own. So if you're looking for affordability, 3 acres with a almost new house, definitely can do it 350.
Man, I mean, thank you, Dylan. Could there be a bigger contrast right now between sort of like what's right? Could we get any more contrast? I mean, look at what we got here, gang. We got this like 3 acres on the Big Island, right? You're kind of in the middle of nowhere, sort of, so to speak. You're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's 350 and it's 3 acres and a brand new house.
But you do have a commercial area. So this area, because it's affordable, has had a lot of movement towards it over the last 10, 20 years. So there's actually a pretty good commercial space with 2 grocery stores, a bunch of restaurants, an Ace hardware store, a bunch of stuff. So yeah, so you have everything you need 5 minutes away right there. It's just if you want to get to Walmart or Costco, you're going to have a little drive on your hands. But if you plan to do that once a week and you don't have to commute, great living out there.
Winner. Thank you, Dylan, for clarifying that. And so, but the contrast is just like breathtaking, right? So here's 3 acres, and then bam, here's the city view for 410. So 410 on Oahu is a great deal for a 2-bedroom condo versus 350 for a 3 acre a property. And then of course we got the Maui, like, the estate for 2.249 million. Like, man, I just, gang, love that. Absolutely love that. We got a few questions that I want to take, and then we're going to kind of start to wrap this up. First of all, Nina says, how do I get the kamaaina ID? Well, Nina, you got to live here, but you can get the Hawaii state ID. As Dylan had mentioned, get the Hawaii state ID or a Hawaii driver's license. And most importantly, I don't care if you have a Hawaii state driver's license or Hawaii state ID. If you cannot say kamaaina correctly, you do not qualify as kamaaina. So that is really important. And I'm going to talk about that in this special program I'm just a few minutes away from announcing. So all of you that have hung in there with me, stay tuned. I hope it's going to be worth your while. Okay, Charlie says, often realtors give appreciation gifts at the closing of a property. So would Scott be willing to sacrifice the hat on any sale, or will it be based on the sale price of a home? Scott, the hat, what's it worth to you?
Well, first of all, everything's for sale at the right price, Charlie.
Spoken as a good realtor.
It can definitely be yours. I'd even give you the shirt off my back for the right price, right? But no, definitely, this is probably the most annoying hat that it's fun, but it's probably the most annoying hat. So I actually would give it to you without even having to buy a home.
I'll just give it to you for the asking. Actually, well, Charlie, come on over on Oahu, and we'd love to kind of to hear from you. And Rich says, I've heard Oceanview is the quote strange location on the Big Island, the area where all strange activities happen. What is your thoughts on it, Dylan? Is Oceanview strange? How strange is it?
That depends on your perspective. No, like anywhere else, the areas that are low cost living have a demographic that there can be a few more issues, but I think compared to the mainland or an inner city or something like that, it's nothing compared to those types of areas. And there are many residences like this that are brand new, where you have retirees from the mainland, or a lot of the workforce on the Big Island lives in these areas because this is what they can afford when they're servicing hotels or restaurants and things like that, where they don't have really high incomes. These are places where you can buy a home, and it's a good place to get a start. So there are many, I guess, quote unquote normal residents there, but there definitely are special folks too in these areas.
Special folks. Well said. Okay, so when Rich was saying that, I'm thinking like what, UFOs, strange sightings. We're just talking like a diversity of people. That's good. Yeah. Jim, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to one and all. Aloha. Jim, a mele kalikimaka to you, and haole makahiki ho, which is the Hawaiian way of saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I love the Christmas spirit. I try to do the best I can to follow it, the true meaning of Christmas, as we learned from what Charlie Brown said a long time ago. And it's I love the season, although it's been odd. This has definitely been an odd season. Hey, we're gonna so gang, hang in there, because I'm gonna make this announcement, but we're gonna go through the normal part of our closing. This is Dylan inspired this closing thought, so we're gonna go through some closing thoughts over here. Closing thoughts of wisdom. Oh yeah, Rich says great perspective. Indeed, indeed a great perspective. So I'm going to hold off on my closing thought because I got a big announcement to make right around the corner over here. Scott, what is your closing thought? What's your closing thought for today, Christmas season? By the way, gang, we're not going to be here Christmas Day. So 2 weeks from today, we have the show every 2 weeks. Back over, get a zoom in over here. Hold on a quick sec. So look, we have the show every 2 weeks. So today is the 11th. In 2 weeks, it'll actually be Christmas Day, which is totally cool. So we're not going to be here on Christmas Day. We're going to be enjoying Christmas Day and celebrating Christmas. But we will be back on the 2 weeks after that, which will be January 8th. So we're basically taking Christmas and New Year's off. I hope you all will too. Just to give you a quick announcement on that. All right, let's get the closing thought. Scott, what is with that beautiful hat of yours? What's the wisdom of your closing thought today?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, in the end, it's not the number of years in life, but the life in the years. Can't take that money to the grave. Life's about experiences and that journey that we're going on. And, so don't wait to come on over here for the perfect timing. Make it happen and you'll figure it out once you get here.
I love that line. Oh, it's not about what's that line again? Say it again slowly. I love it.
It's not the number of years in the life, but the life in the years.
It's not the number of years in life, it's the life in the years. And Scott, I got to tell you, buddy, being in Makaha with the surf coming in, like, oh, here comes a good size wave right behind you there. I want to just talk this through, so I want you all to see this wave crash behind, because it looks like it's gonna be a pretty good size wave. So here, so the wave, I love watching surf. Yeah, there it is. Thank you, Scott. Here we go, everybody. Here, crashing wave. Boom. Excellent. That's Abraham's quote. Thank you, Nina, for giving us that historical context. Appreciate that. All right, Dylan, what's the scoop, buddy? What's the Dylanism on today's closing thought?
Hey, my theme for the last couple of weeks and the next couple is planning for the next year in a lot of different ways. So my quote for today is, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So I'm a big believer in goal setting and coming up with a plan. And so that's what we've been doing with my team and me personally. And so I would just say, especially related to the show, if this is something that you want to do, take that time, come up with a plan, put it on a vision board, write it out, be specific, have them be measurable, all of those types of things. Any type of goal setting exercise that you feel comfortable going through, I think it's very important, because it's amazing the kind of things that you can accomplish when you just put them down and you look at them and you focus on them, and you don't have to know exactly how you're going to do them. But if you have a plan and you have a goal, a lot of times it's a lot more likely to come to fruition than if you just are flailing out there.
Well said, man. Well said. And Nina gave us a clarification. Abraham Lincoln quote. Yes, correct. And Jennifer, may I get more info on the 3-acre rancho property? Absolutely, Jennifer. There's a link in the description, both on Facebook and on YouTube. Click on the link. It's like, do you need help finding a house? Click on that link. Fill it out. I'm going to send that right out to Dylan, and then he'll follow up with you right away. And I would definitely be looking on that 3-acre rancho property if I were you. Heidi, what is your closing thought for today?
Well, I just want to encourage everybody, if Hawaii is in your future, you can do it. A lot of people do. I did it, and it's one of the best things I ever did, was just taking the leap of faith and having the confidence to move over here and make it happen, and you figure it out.
Absolutely, Heidi. And folks, you've got 3 transplants here. Both myself and Scott and Heidi have been in Hawaii for decades, and we made the transition. All right, so now the moment that I've been waiting for actually almost 2 years. It started out, well, let's just go here. So gang, here we go. So I've been working this for years now, and I am making, this is, for those of you that are with me right now, there's 32 of you that are here right now. So you folks are getting a special view. You're the first ones to see this. I just unlocked the website before I came on over here. Here's what I've been working on, and it is a plan to do. It's kind of, I didn't plan this out. What you guys all said, I did not plan this out. It just happened this way. But I have put together a plan and a site for you to live the dream in Hawaii. And it's a complete program that is designed to hit a couple of key points. Number one, avoid the disaster for those who shouldn't move here in the first place. I'm going to help you figure out that this place is not right for you. Again, we're all about honesty. So for those of you that Hawaii is not the right place for you, avoid a disaster. For those of you that is the right place for you, decades of wisdom. I've packaged a complete set of courses, online courses you take at your own pace. and they are designed to teach you online what took me and Scott and Heidi and Dylan decades to figure out about Hawaii. Like, for example, you got to say, you have to be able to pronounce kamaaina correctly to get the kamaaina discount. Also ways for you to make new friends. We're going to use a cohort approach. So you're going to make friends with others that are like you, going through the same journey. And finally, to connect with trusted locals, not just Scott and Dylan and Heidi, but others as well. It is a first of its kind, and the cohort is going to begin in January. So Dylan, you talked about visions and goals and things of that nature. This is like the perfect thing. So this is called, let me get rid of this logo over here real quick. This is called Islander. This is islanderohana.com. I just launched it now, and I'm going to take a limited registration. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to post a link in the description, a link in the comments. This is a link to where you can go to this link, and just put in all I'm asking for is your email address and your name, and that's it. Click on that link, give me your email address and your name. I'm going to get you pre-registered. This is then the pre-registration is going to be, I'm going to basically give first dibs. I'm only going to start with a small cohort. I'm thinking 10 people, maybe 20 tops. That's all I'm going to do. And we just need your email address. This thing actually is going to pay for itself. It is paid. It is paid because it's a serious program. But I've got a deal, and I talked to Scott and Dylan with this, and I'm sure Heidi would agree as well. There is a payment, and I'm going to give you all discounts. I don't want to talk about prices on the air, but it's on the website. If you go through this course and that you join this community, this islanderohana.com, and you come to Hawaii and you buy a house, I will pay you back what you paid to get into this program. So this program basically pays for itself. If you come to Hawaii and buy a house, the program pays for itself. So make sure you kind of click on that link and join the Ohana. I'm going to be working with Scott and with Heidi to put together a program for actually also buying a house. Like one of the courses we're going to add. In fact, we're going to talk about this right after the show. So that's it, gang. Get a hold of this. You are the first ones to know about this. I'm going to go for 10 people, maybe 20, but that's going to be it. All right, we've got a couple of comments over here, and we're gonna wrap it up. Joe Greer talked about it. Yeah, Joe, exactly. Excellent talk. You got 3 choices: give up, give in, or give it all you got. Love that. That's almost a Dylanism right there, man. And then Rich Lancaster says, with failure removed as an option, only success is possible. Love that quote. Fabulous quote. Remove failure failure is not an option, right, Rich? Thank you, gang. All right, gang, I'm going to wish you all a very, very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. We'll see you in 2021. Let's go around and quick and say aloha there. Let's go around the table clockwise. Scott, Dylan, and Heidi, go.
Aloha, Merry Christmas.
Love everybody.
Aloha. Take care.
All right, folks, have a great one. Aloha.